You're listening to Business Talks with Jasmine J. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been rocking with me, thank you for staying tuned in. What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Jasmine J, and welcome back to Business Talks with Jasmine J, where we talk to CEO and founders to figure out what their layout is to build something that lasts. So today's topic is the importance of clear communication. As founders, as CEOs, entrepreneurs, or even if you work a 9-to-5, it's very important to have clear communication when you're representing your brand or when you're speaking to other people about your business. So today I'm going to cover 3 main points. The first point that I want to talk about is your core message, right? Your core message talks about why you're even doing what you're doing. I think a lot of times as business owners, we get caught up in the day-to-day, the hustle, all the things that we have to do, that sometimes our messaging gets lost. Sometimes we have to sit down and say, okay, what are we doing again? So as a business owner, you need to know your core message. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? And who are you here to serve, right? What are you doing? Why are you doing it? And who are you here to serve? That should be able to be told to your target audience in one sentence, whatever that looks like. You should be able to combine that in one sentence where they can get the core message. Again, they know who you are, who you're here to serve, and why you're doing what you're doing, right? And I could just give an example of some of the things that I've been through. As I developed my businesses over the last 10 years, my messaging has changed, right? So when you first start your business, you think you have it all down packed from your journal and your strategy session, everything that you want to do. But then when you get out there and start really doing the work and getting the feedback from the people that you serve, sometimes that message has to be tweaked so that it's clear. Remember, you want the message to be clear to the audience that you're serving, okay? And leadership communication is more than just content. It's more than PR. It's more than showing up at an event. Communication, again, is making sure that they clearly understand why you're here, what you're doing, and who you're here to serve. All right, that takes us to our next point. The second point with clear communication, which is one that we all struggle with, is staying consistent. One thing I've learned is consistency is key. So that's not just with messaging. That's with anything that you want to do in life. If you want to lose weight, consistency is key. You can't work out one day and then the next 3 days treat yourself to a hamburger and then expect to lose weight. That's not how this works. If you are just like when you first start learning how to ride a bike, you couldn't get on the bike one time, fall off, and then give up and figure that you'll know how to ride a bike. You have to dust yourself off and get back up again. So staying consistent is harder than understanding the core message. Once you go through what you need to go through to understand the core message, being consistent is that work that you have to put in. So you need to be consistent on all platforms. So every platform that your business is on, whether it's Instagram, X, Thread, all of those things out there, the messaging should be the same. So if I look your business up on TikTok, I know who you are and what you do. If I look your business up on Instagram, I know who you are and what you do. We must be consistent in that message. But it's hard to be consistent when you're not clear on what the core message is. A lot of times the inconsistency comes because one day your core message is that you give out apples and then the next day is that you give out oranges. There's no consistency in that. But once you're clear on your core message, then you want to take that message with you everywhere you go. When you're talking to someone in the grocery store, when you're at an event, when you're a guest on a podcast, anywhere that you could show up to represent you and your brand, you must have that core message and be consistent in telling that story. Okay? Founders and CEOs, we must simplify our voice. Like I talked about a little earlier, it's so much, right? As a visionary, it's so much that we just, I like to say vomit. We just vomit all of that information out on other people. That is too much for people to receive. We have to be mindful that people are going through their everyday life as well. They have a lot of things on their mind. So when they're talking to you about your business, you have to make it simple. And that's why it's important for steps 1 and 2. So the last point that I want to bring up to drive this point home is you want to communicate to connect with your audience and not just to inform them. I think that's a lot of, I think a lot of times we have that issue. Even with like our websites. I've been on a lot of websites that just informed me of what this business does. This is a service, this who runs the company. It's more like a digital brochure. It just has a bunch of information. That's good. That's better than nothing, right? But can you imagine visiting a website that talks directly to you, where you feel like this website was built to connect to you? That's how we have to do when we're communicating our business across to other people. It can't just be to inform. That's okay. That's step one. But we have to connect with them. So we come up with our core message, whatever that is. What do you do? Why are you doing it? And who are you doing it for? That will help you come up with your core message. Then let's stay consistent. Once we know that message has to be said on every platform, every opportunity that we get. We have to stay consistent with that same core message. And lastly, with that message and the way we communicate these things, we must do this to connect and not just inform. That connection is what will build your community. Once you build a community of people that support you, what you're doing, your business and your brand, they will support whatever you want to do. If right now you're a marketer and then next week you want to sell purses, if you've been clear with your core message, you've been consistent and you're connected to your audience, guess what? They're going to buy those purses from you. It's all about you and how you get that communication over to your target audience. On today's episode, we're actually going to be bringing in Amber Baylor, who is a PR specialist. She has over 10 years of experience working for television and news, but now she has launched into her own PR company. And we're going to be talking to her about the importance of clear communication. But before we have that conversation, let's go over the 3 main points that's going to make sure we're ready for this conversation. We need to make sure our message is clear. We have our core message on what we're doing, who we are, why we're doing it, and who we're here to serve. We're going to stay consistent with that message on all platforms and all opportunities. And lastly, we're going to tell this message with the hopes of connecting and not just informing. So we're going to talk to Amber and figure out what's her layout on building legacy. I'll see y'all over there. All right, y'all. Y'all know we've been talking about the power of clear messaging. So as we transition to the second segment, what's your layout? I have the pleasure of bringing on Miss Amber Baylor. How you doing today, love?
I'm doing great, Jasmine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. So I know you as the founder of Motion Media and PR. Met you recently, but if you don't mind telling us who you are, how you got here, and then we'll dig into the conversation.
Okay, well, I am Amber Baylor. Like Jasmine said, owner of Motion Media and PR, public relations. I do have a background in television news, nearly a decade now. I started off in Houston at Houston's Fox 26, and then went to Houston's KPRC Channel 2, the NBC network for Houston.
Yes.
In those positions, I did work behind the scenes, and so I love behind the scenes and everything happened. With the change in the industry, it pushed me into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And so to still have my relationship with television and to also still have the love that I have for booking and, television production, I stayed within that area and just geared it to people that needed assistance, needed that media liaison, and I became that for them.
So even with you doing this for a while, like in television, and then now having your own firm, do you feel like you're building legacy, or is that a dream for you to want to build legacy through your work?
Yes, of course. I am building legacy, just a pride legacy in its own lane,
Yeah.
basically, to show that you don't have to stop doing what you're passionate about just because it's a change in the industry or a change in whatever you're in. You can still create your own lane. We all on the same freeway.
Right.
That freeway got 6 lanes,
Yes.
right? So create your own lane, or get behind someone. I'm okay with that too. A lot of times we have people that be like, "Oh no, I don't need nobody." No, I need a community. Everyone needs a community.
Definitely. So that leads us right into what I like to ask every guest here on Business Talks with Jasmine J, and it's basically, what is your layout? Because I feel like we all are going towards legacy, or all wanting to build legacy or wealth, but we all, like you say, have our own lane and how we get there. Mm-hmm. So I want to just dig into your particular lane and how you've gotten to where you are now. So I like to talk a lot about leadership. So I know that you're new in the entrepreneurial world. But how important has leadership been to you throughout your career and where you are now?
Leadership is very much so good. I always say a good leader has to know how to follow.
Yes.
And I followed for years. And so therefore, when it was time to jump out, I had all of those good ideas. I had all of the information that the great leaders, in spite what happened, but I did have some great leaders. So I, saw what those great leaders had and what they guided me into.
Yeah.
And then, I was able to take on that leadership role or, remember some of the things and ideas that they did give me.
Was there ever a moment where you got to see for yourself, where you recognize the leadership qualities within yourself, maybe a moment or experience you had at work or maybe in your personal life where it was like an aha moment, like, you know what, I do have leadership qualities within myself and this is something that I want to continue to pour out into my business, into my family and things like that?
Yes. So in the newsroom, like I said, I was behind the scenes, but I also was like that gatekeeper go-to person.
Yeah.
And so, people would ask me different things and I end up spearheading a few stories and a few, interviews and things like that. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. I basically talk to them every day and tell them how to do it, and I can actually do this. And just to tie it in with my business right now, I just took on an intern from my alum, Texas Southern University. And, with guiding her through that and just seeing like, okay, you always want to lead, but you can still teach at the same time. And so that has definitely been a good moment for me, a giving back moment, of course, back to my school that I graduated from, but also veering her in the right lane and showing her like, this is what you need to do. And getting her feedback is very much so important. And I do appreciate that too.
I think that's a real important part of leadership and just building legacy as a whole is feedback is important for the people that you have the pleasure of leading and even the people that you may be working for. Always getting that feedback to see what it is that you can do better.
Right.
And one thing I really love that you said that I always say around here is to be a good leader, you must know how to follow. And just like pouring out into your community, somebody has to be pouring into you.
Right.
So when it comes to that, how do you feel about mentorship and things of that nature for you?
I love mentorship. I love being the mentee and I love, being a mentor as well. I feel like no matter how big you get, you still need to be a mentee as well.
Okay.
So I reach out to people also. Like I said, I was on this side of the production for years, but now since I'm here and just celebrated a year on being here, I'm still reaching out to other people. I'm like, hey, I see you just celebrated 15 years, or hey, can you meet me for lunch, or what's going on here, and then also, not even that, but some of the greats or some of the people I look at as greats that's been in the business for 15, 20 years, they're referring some clients to me. So that shows me that in their eyes, they're watching and they're seeing that, okay, she's doing something because if it's coming from those individuals. So I definitely love that part of it.
Yes, definitely. Oh, congratulations to you. I'm really happy for you. So what shifts did you make in yourself moving from corporate to ownership and having your own organization?
Ooh, girl. A lot of shifts. Priorities had to shift.
Yeah.
My time had to shift. Because yes, entrepreneurship is very much so great. Everybody's like, oh, you make your own time, you make your own time. But sometimes making your own time is not that regular 9 to 5 or whatever hours you were used to working.
Right.
Now you have to designate different times, so it might be a 8 p.m. meeting. It might be I have to go here, or I got to bring the kid with me here, So you definitely have to shift your time, shift your priorities. And just make sure that you align those priorities too.
Definitely.
So I'm big on alignments at this moment. So it opens up my eyes to everything because I'm not only the PR, I'm not only, the owner, I am also the admin, I'm also the, the financial advisor, things like that. So I'm doing everything in that. And I seek counsel in all of those lanes too.
Yeah, and that's important. I think when you just starting off in entrepreneurship, that's something that's not talked about a lot, is that you do have to wear several hats and probably will wear several hats for several years. Like we're approaching year 4 and I'm still wearing about 5 or 6 hats. Everyone here probably is wearing 2 or 3 hats, but that's just what it takes when you're building something and you want to scale. Yeah,
and I'm big on like going to conferences, going to conventions, any type of networking event, because that's where you're going to meet people that assist you with those.
Definitely,
things that you
that's
need.
where those connections are made. So today's big topic is like the power of messaging. So I know in your corporate work that power of messaging was really important with the stories, how the stories came out and things like that. What did you take from that experience to work on the messaging that you wanted for your own company?
Well, I definitely take the alignment of, I look at everything as a story.
Okay.
Because
Me too.
what I did, I was like a research developer basically. They give me all the information. I have to contact this person, this person, this person, tie it all in. You see the reporter on TV, but the reporter is I'm talking to the reporter, or I'm telling them exactly where to go. So I still take that on and watch my story develop itself too. So when I get a client, of course I get all the A, B, C, D, everything of their company, their goals, what is our goal in media, and, what is our goal in publication.
Yeah.
And then I start writing about it. And so I still love writing because my degree is in communications, journalism classes too. So I still love writing. So I start writing about it.
Yeah.
And I just, hit it with some notes and things like that. And then I see it develop. I start contacting individuals. Then I just watch it just come to life and develop.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I've taken from my corporate side into this side as well. Another thing is just like polished professionalism.
Yes.
And so, in the type of field that I was in, we all had to be polished and professional.
Yep.
So, you never knew who was going to walk through that newsroom, who's going to walk through that studio. And so we always had to stay polished and professional at all times. And so oftentimes, like I have some clients now that are a little more laid back, because I do hospitality as well. So I have some people that's in the restaurant and lounge industry. And so they're always like, Amber, you got to loosen up, and I'm like, well, this is how I am, and if I could treat that business like that, I'm definitely going to treat mine like this. So I'm going to stay professional at all times. So I'm a documented person. I keep everything in black and white, make sure everything is good just in case, if a client asks me like, hey, what happened last week, or what did we do here? I already have it in your file. So I make sure that, and that's the things that I learned from being in corporate.
And I think those are great things, especially that professionalism part, because I think as entrepreneurs, sometimes we forget that because we're so much in the hustle and the grind trying to make things happen that we don't realize our professionalism and our customer experience, how our people experience our business is what's going to bring in the revenue or stop the revenue.
Right.
Like that is one of the most important things. Right. So I think that's really good that you brought that to light. I want to talk about family because I know you're a mother as well. So I want to talk about family and business. But before we go there, I want to talk about the messaging as far as if you get someone that wants to work with you, right? And they don't know their messaging isn't clear. Like they know their target audience, but they don't know what else that they want to do. What are some things or some tools that you give them to kind of like really figure out what is their messaging?
So whenever I meet anyone and we have our consultation, I always try to make sure that you are branded up for public relations, for PR. Because people hear PR and then a lot of people just think, oh, it's just getting me on TV. Oh, get me on this segment, get me on this, get me on that. But is your brand aligned for that? You know? And so I always tell people there's a difference between marketing and public relations.
Yes.
And so some people see public relations as the marketing side. Like, oh, I don't have that, but can you create that for me? No, I can refer you to someone that does marketing and branding. Exactly. Right? So it does say, like mine is social media. I do media marketing. So I market you within the media, right? And so get you in your publication and get you in your PR lane. Yeah. And so I always like to tell people, make sure that you are marketed up. Not saying that, I have to meet them and they got to have 30K followers or things like that. I don't even have that. Right. But is your brand something that everyone would want to see at this time? Is it timely? Is the information clear? And we can work and develop that as well. On my team, I have a media coach. So I have someone that's been in the media in publication for like 20 plus years. Wow. And sometimes they assist me with helping people, like for doing things like this, just an interview. Because I would hate for someone to get on somewhere and I just believed in them, then I sit them on your couch and they're like, just stumbling over the words and not able to say anything. So we do develop them in that aspect, but I do make sure that everyone has their market and their brand, to a certain level before it's for PR. And that's for anyone. Make sure that your brand is up to par before you go for PR because, you don't want just that one time. You can make it to that one. I'll write you up real good. We can make it to that one, but we want to keep going.
And I think that's something real important to talk about, because when you are getting into entrepreneurship, you do go to conferences, you do talk to people, and you're trying to learn from other people. And sometimes people don't give you all the information. They just tell you certain things. So here you are, maybe you've been in business a year and you're not actually ready, but you're investing your money in PR. I think as a PR person, to be able to say, hey, don't do that. Make sure that you're PR ready, which means you already have to have your brand together. You already need to know your messaging, who your target audience, who you're talking to. I think that's so important to know that, hey, everybody's not PR ready.
Yeah, no, they're not. And then some people, get into PR and they will take your money and they will, make sure that you get on a few things, but you're not polished like we talked about earlier. So I want to make sure that everyone that I work with, that you set that standard, and that, I make sure that you get to the level that you need to be at. Not that you only want to be at, but you need to be at as well.
Right. Ooh, that's good. That's good, girl. That's good. So as we talk about family and business, because here at Business Talks with Jasmine J, I like to cover several pillars, because I feel like all of those are important to be successful. We can't just focus on business and then negate family, negate faith. Like, all of those things are important to be the best version of yourself. So I always like to ask the CEOs that I bring on, like, what does that look like for them? So for you, I know you're a mother and things of that nature. So can you just talk to us a little bit just about like your family?
So I am a mother of one. I have one boy, but you would imagine it feels like 10. But I have a son that is 12, about to be 13.
Yes.
So he keeps me busy. I keep him busy also, keep him in a lot of activities.
Yeah.
And so that's what that looks like on that side for me, for parenting, family as a whole.
Yeah.
I'm in a city where I don't have my full family. So I am originally from Dallas, Texas.
Girl, you're not from Houston?
No. A lot of people don't
that.
even know that. Yes, I've been in Houston for 22 years since I came to college.
Okay.
So,
at TSU?
At TSU. I came to college in 2004, so I've been here almost 22 years and stayed because I was married to my son's father for 8 years.
Yeah.
And since now have been divorced 8 years too.
Yeah.
So, and of course, I still have that support system with him and my son. That's my main reason for staying and not moving back. And of course, I had already established career here too. So, that's my family.
Love
sector.
that. Yes. So how do you balance? Like, how are you working to balance motherhood and entrepreneurship?
Actually, entrepreneurship has opened up more time. I can't say that.
Yeah.
Because the type of business that I was in before, the career that I was in before, my time was not so much taken up all day, but my time schedule was a little different. Sometimes I had to be at work at 3:30 in the morning. And so, my time would be a little crazy like that. But it has opened up more time for me. I'm able to make my own schedule, and prioritize and align my schedule the right way. And so I make sure that I'm there with him, on most everything that's important. And even if I, have to bring him, he's here with me too. And he see me going in, and sometimes he'll get home from school and I'm on a Zoom call or, on a meeting, a virtual meeting or something. And then he'll come in and he'll be like, "Oh, Mom, you a boss." Like, he'll hear the way I'm talking and I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah, you boss, Mom," you know? And then also, he has developed a sense for somewhat production. So we brought him 2 Canon cameras.
Come on,
so he be taking pictures now. So when he get a little sharpened, I'll bring him to some things with me. So he takes pictures. He's on the media team in my church.
Yeah.
And that goes back to when you were saying, balance of faith as well. So I'm very, very present at my church as well. I'm on the media ministry as well. It's called the Fountain Connect. I attend the Fountain of Praise.
Okay.
And so I do the announcements. So the announcements that come on the screen, I do those at church. I do announcements on stage sometimes. So I make sure, just using my gift within the Lord's house as well, because when I did work, I worked weekends, and almost 2 years straight, I worked weekends. So I was not able to go into church on a Sunday morning.
Definitely.
And so now since I'm here, I'm like, God, how can you use me? You know, and this is the reason why I'm here. So,
Man, I love 2 things about that. One is incorporating your family or your son into what you're doing already. I think that as parents, we don't talk about that enough, because I know sometimes we have guilt. I know for me, sometimes I have had guilt about not being as present as I desire to be with my children for whatever reason, whether it's work or whatever the case may be. But I don't talk about enough about how my kids are incorporating my business, how my daughter is a content creator, how my son is an entrepreneur. You know, I think that's important because there are other women out there that's a big thing for them. And that might be keeping them from continuing to follow the vision God gave them because of the fear of not being as present with their children.
And then it also opens up another avenue for you and your child or your children to join in together with. Because a lot of times I know even myself growing up, I'll be like, oh, my mama just got home from work, or oh, my mom's at work. Because it's like she used to make work feel like this big stress thing.
Yes.
Just a background, my mom worked for the IRS. She retired from the IRS. And so now she's an entrepreneur now in 20 plus years. She has her own tax and mortgage company.
Shout out to
But yeah, but she was working for, like, when we were in high school, me and my brother and stuff, she was working for the IRS. And so she would come home like work, you know, like I was like, Lord, I don't want to be an
I don't want
that.
Go to
work, you know? And so I really didn't like what she did, you know, from the outside looking in.
Yeah.
But just showing him that this is, you know, this is what I'm doing. Even when I was at the news station, on some days if I worked weekends, he was able to come up there with me, and he just thought that was just the coolest thing.
The coolest
you
thing
know?
in the world.
So I want to show him that. And like, even if I'm putting together some content, he's like, Mom, send it to me, because let me tell y'all who the real content creators are.
It's young people.
Okay?
Yes, you don't got to tell me.
He will take my videos and take my pictures and put it on CapCut, and that's my editor.
I know that's right.
So I would love to, you know, for Motion Media PR to be bigger as what it is, and he will be on
right there.
Yeah.
We love that. So what strategies have fueled Motion Media's first year of growth?
I definitely take a strategic approach to everything that I do. So my strategies have been, you know, like, does it really align with what I'm doing? How is it going to develop me beyond this point? Because I have gotten some clients or gotten some, you know, some quick fix things like that, like, oh, I just get someone on.
Yeah.
But how is this going to develop me into being an actual business owner, not just someone's PR for today?
Yeah.
So I definitely have taken on, you know, different people's goals, making sure that I execute their goals, making sure that everything, you know, I do on my end just kind of just develops and rolls out. And I want to be more than just, oh, I remember when she had her business. Or I remember, you know, I wanted to grow. And
build something that lasts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, girl, we loving that. So how do you stay consistent when everything feels heavy?
Ooh, God. One word, one answer.
Yep.
One man.
Yep.
That's all I can say is God. I'm so serious. Like, I have to stay rooted in my faith, in my foundation. That is my firm foundation. And I make sure that He is at the head, the tail, the inside, everything of what I do.
Amen.
Everything. Mm-hmm.
Amen, girl. Mm-hmm. Praise God, because God is that guy. He is the answer. Yes, sir. Okay, so for as we close out this segment, I kind of want to do, it's not actually a live activation because we don't have an artist here, but that's okay. I want to just throw a scenario at you and have you kind of take us through what that would look like. So for instance, if we had an artist in the green room and he was getting ready to prepare for a 7-minute interview just about his artistry, and say he has had 2 hits, but he hasn't went famous yet, just has 2 hits, he's able to travel and do some things, but he's still working to build his career, a rap hip-hop artist. What would be some of your suggestions, or what would be some things that you would tell him to prepare for this 7-minute interview?
For your 7-minute interview, with having 2 hits already, and you're developing your artistry, talk about how you got to where you are now. You have to bring people in. So like I said, I look at everything as a story. You have to bring people in. So yes, you can start by talking about your 2 hits and what I'm doing here, how this is going. But what would be more important is, who are you? Yeah. How did you get to where you are? Did you even want to do this at first? Yeah. Give me the background of you. What's your real name? You know, what the people call you at home? You know, things like that. So people can feel like they relate to you. And so that's in production, a lot of people miss that aspect, and they're like, oh, they just want to come on and say, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. Yeah. Okay, but the person that's actually going to buy your music, or the person that's actually going to watch your show, that's going to tune in on YouTube and things like that, they can't relate to that.
Yeah.
Right? And so they're like, oh, this is this. And that's where you get imposter syndrome, because a lot of people that watch it, they're like, oh, I want this. I saw him. He had a pinky ring on. I got to get my pinky ring.
Yep.
You can't get your pinky ring, honey, because, you know, you still working on this.
Right.
But if he can tell you, my first year, I did it like this.
Yep.
I didn't even have, like, I can use myself. My first year, my first few months, I did not even have an invoice system.
Yeah.
So, no, I did not have an invoice system. I was using the Cash Apps, the Zelle, the this, the that, you know. But then I came in contact with a client or with someone that was like, hey, why don't you do it like this? So you actually have to, you know, be relatable and just be like, I didn't want to say I busted out the gate with invoice system, with a business account, with this, with a office space. I still don't have an office space, you know, but you're developing yourself. And then people can say, you know what, I can do that. Because in her first year or two, she did it like this. Or in his first year, he was selling his CDs at the school campus. I can do it like that too. And then you build your community also. Based
off that. So, okay, the biggest takeaway I got was that story. So he has to bring the story and how he even got to the 2 hits. Okay, so what about wardrobe? Because I know that's a big thing online that people want to know about when they're going for an interview. Should I dress like a rap artist? Should I dress up? Should I dress how I would be at the house with my family? Like, what about wardrobe when it comes to these interviews?
No, definitely dress like you are, you know, dress for who you are.
Okay.
So if you are that artist and your style is this type of way, dress that way. And even if it's a style that no one is doing, if you want to start it, go ahead and start that style.
Definitely.
Also, collaborate with people. That's building a community. Reach out to a stylist like, hey, I have a segment on Fox on, you know, next week, and this is the type of style I'm going for. When I'm on there, if I could wear your pieces, I would definitely tell them I got on your pieces. And that's basically like you being on too, you know?
Yeah.
So that's a good way to collaborate and build that community too.
Definitely. Okay. All righty. So the last thing I have about the 7-minute interviews, sometimes it's 7 minutes, right? So everybody's mind's going about what should they not leave that set without saying?
Do not leave without how to contact you.
Yes.
Do not leave without, you know, probably 2 to 3 main key points of what you've done in your career.
Yeah.
Or about whatever the event or anything that you're on the segment about. But definitely how to contact you, how to keep in contact with yourself, you know, how you got where you are, thanking people if you will, also. Those are good things.
All right, y'all, we got to give Amber a shout out because she just gave us some game, making sure that we have our brand story in line, making sure that we are dressed to impress, and making sure that we do not leave that set without letting people know how to contact us. So with that advice, I'm going to give Amber the opportunity to do just that. Letting people know, you know, your one piece of advice for legacy builders, share how to connect with you.
Yes, and so I am Amber Baylor, the owner and CEO of Motion Media PR. I can be reached at motionmediapr.com. That is our website. Also on Instagram is at Motion Media PR. My personal on Instagram is at live, L-I-V-E _with_Amber. Also, we have Facebook too, Motion Media PR. So if you just put in Motion Media PR, everything should come up, and I will be grand and happy to connect with you.
We love that. So before we close out this segment, I'm really big on the youth. So if you could give our youth one piece of advice, maybe a young girl out there that wants to get into media, wants to get into content creation, she just don't know where to go or what to do, what would be your advice to her?
Be authentic. Be authentic. Be yourself. Let God guide you. And you will be the best that you can be. I always say be authentic. Be yourself, because you're going to go into a lane that everyone else has created already. So you're gonna go on that bread aisle. You just got to see what lane and what item you're gonna be on. You know.
Yep.
So just make sure that you are authentically yourself. You know, even if you don't get 100 clients, you don't get this many clients, focus on your 10 or focus on your 5, and believe me, it's gonna grow. Or you're gonna, you know, create longevity with that particular audience that you have, the clientele that you have.
Absolutely, y'all. I want to take the time to thank you, Amber, for stopping by the show and dropping those gems. Like I said, the biggest takeaway I got is you have to know your story. when it comes to the power of communication and getting your brand story out there, it starts with you. If you can't communicate your brand story, or you don't even know why you got started and why you're doing what you're doing, then you're not able to translate that over to your target audience. So make sure you take some time and do some deep diving, get with God and figure out what your purpose is. But thanks again, Amber, for coming on to Business Talks with Jasmine J. We'll see y'all on the next segment. All right, y'all, welcome to the boardroom. This is where I bring myself to the board table to review my strategies and figure out how do we do this in real time. So as you know, today's topic has been all about clear communication, and we just wrapped up a phenomenal segment with Amber, who reminded us that clarity in communication is power. So I want to talk about what some of my strategies are for clear communication and just bringing myself to the table. Am I doing it right, or am I doing it right, or are there things that I need to tweak? And I feel like this segment is really important because we can all take time to educate ourselves, listen to podcasts, get on YouTube, read books. That's all great, but then how do we put these things into action? So first, I want to talk about some people, some businesses and some brands that have done really well with their messaging, and maybe some that have fumbled. And let's talk about why that is so that we can see what is the difference that we should do with our businesses. So one brand that we all know that does a great job at messaging is Nike, right? Who doesn't know about Nike? It's universal. But one thing Nike did with their campaign, Just Do It, is it made everyone feel like they're a part of it. Everyone could understand what it was about. For decades, Nike's Just Do It has remained consistent across every campaign, whether they're talking about elite athletes or everyday people. And I think that's really important to talk about because when I first started watching Nike commercials, it was all the different athletes, from LeBron, whoever you could think of has been on a Nike commercial. But when I really fell in love with Nike is when I started seeing everyday women like me wear Nike and be a representation of Nike. And so that goes to that clear communication. I believe Nike wanted everyone to feel like everyone could be a part of that brand. That is just not for the pro athlete. It's also for the little girl who wants to play soccer. It's for the dad who has multiple kids and he's a sports dad. Nike is for everyone. And that's how we have to think when we think about our communication. And so let's talk about a brand who didn't do as well with their messaging. And I'm still confused about this to this day, y'all. So, y'all remember Twitter? Now it's X, right? So Twitter went through this whole rebrand and now it's X. And this was done by Elon Musk. I am confused. Do you even know, like, why did it go from Twitter to X? What does X mean? Like, I'm clueless on the whole rebrand. So just to think, how many other people out there are clueless on the rebrand of Twitter? Do you know? Do you know why they rebranded? So those are the type of things we have to stay mindful of when we're talking about communication, because you could do a whole rebrand and confuse all of your target audience if they're not following you with this messaging. So I'm actually going to involve some of the people here in the studio. I want to ask them off camera, do any of y'all understand the rebrand of X and why it went from Twitter to X? Exactly. We don't really understand it. And so that's why it's important when you're a business owner and you want to build a community and make money, it's important to have clear communication, because once you lose your audience, they're gone. How many other platforms? A lot of people probably left X and went over to Threads and back to Instagram, Facebook, wherever the case may be. So your messaging is important not only to connect with your audience, but also to ensure that you're speaking to your audience to create that revenue. So as we talked about in the first segment, right, there were 3 steps that I said was important for clear communication when it comes to your brand. That is, what is your core message? Are you consistent? And are you talking to connect over just informing people? So let's bring CC to the table, y'all. I'm going to go through some of my strategies for my businesses. So one of my businesses is Community Cultivation Network, which is a media network, right? I believe that our core message is solid. We know who we are. We are a group of storytellers, right? We're storytellers, whether it's behind the camera, behind the phone, if we're the producer helping you bring your story to life, we're all storytellers. What do? We help other people bring their visions to life through media and events. Why do we do it? Because we ourselves are a company. And so the CCN recipe has helped us. So we know this to be a proven fact. So this is why we want to do this for other people. And who do we do it for? We want to work with people in the real estate industry, technology, entertainment, and nonprofit. So as far as our core message for CCN, we are a media company that empowers brands through innovative storytelling, which is media and events. So that's our core message, right? Now, it took me 3 years, y'all, to come up with that core message. When we first started, we were a podcast network. Then we became a network that helped people to build, lead, and improve. I mean, things have changed so much over the 3 years. It wasn't until I took the time to figure out who I was as a CEO and a visionary and exactly what I wanted my company to do that I found the core message. So now that we have that core message, we have to be consistent in that core message. So everywhere we go, no matter if we're on Instagram, social media, if we're at an event, wherever you see CCN, you're going to know that we're storytellers that are here to help you build your brand through media and events. So whether you know what services we offer or not, you know that we do media and events, and that comes from our consistency. I'll never forget when we first figured out our core message and what we wanted to do. As a team, we set a goal to go to 10 events a week. Y'all, that was outrageous. I was crazy. My team that was here with me was crazy. We were crazy. But we did it. We went to 10 events a week with that same core message, with that same level of consistency. And that's what helped us get our message out there for people to know that we're here to do media and events. We're here to partner with you to take care of all your content needs and to help you plan out your events. But like I said, it all comes from consistency. And then that last part, connect versus inform. So originally, we were just informing people. We were just letting them know, hey, this is what we do. We were not communicating to where we could connect and actually pull those people in to be our leads or the next people that we work with. We were just informing them with all kind of information that they can get from ChatGPT, they can get from Google, they can get that information from anywhere. But the biggest thing we did was connect with them. So we told them, hey, we could be your premier partner to partner with you and your organization to do media and events, other than just informing them, hey, we do media and events. So what? So does Billy. So does John. So does Sarah. Everybody does that. Why should they choose you? And that's where you have to drive home that level of connection. People should choose CCN because we are a premier partner in bringing your media and events to life. We can show you what we do. We can show you who we helped. We can show you that it works by doing it on ourselves. So now our core message is clear through everything that we do. So communication is hard, y'all. Like I told you earlier, it's already a lot as a business owner, as a CEO, to try to manage all the things that go through your head. And you could get lost up in communication because now you're just talking from everything that you do. But when you take that time to slow down and make sure that core message is there, make sure you're consistent in telling that message, and make sure the message is coming off to connect rather than inform. So after talking to Amber today and her talking about the clarity that you need, even coming down to how you dress and how you show up, that's something I definitely am going to have to tweak as a CEO, because sometimes I just show up. I have the message, right? I know what I want to say in my head, but I don't really care about exactly how I look. As long as I look nice, I smell good, my lipstick on, I'm feeling good. But she told me that that is not going to work. If I want to be a CEO and founder and I want to be consistent in my messaging as a CEO and founder, then I have to show up as a CEO and founder in every opportunity that I get. So one thing I'm definitely going to have to do is tweak my strategy and get my wardrobe together. Yep. She even gave us a good idea about partnering with people and collaborating with them. She talked about, hey, if you know you're shooting a lot and you want to show up a certain way, maybe collaborating with a stylist So I'm taking that straight from her book to my book, okay? I'm going to call every stylist I know and let them know I am currently shooting a season of Business Talks with Jasmine J, and I would like to collaborate with them so that I can make sure I'm showing up comfortable in the way that I want to show up, and I can also collaborate and represent their brand. So, all in all, today we talked a lot about the power of clear messaging. And even though that's a hard thing to understand, it really breaks down to 3 simple things. Your core message, are you staying consistent? And are you connecting with your audience other than informing your audience? So if you're not doing those things, y'all, it's okay. Look at me. I have 3 businesses, and there's things that I need to tweak with my communication strategy. So if you're not doing it, don't give up. What you need to do is go back to the table, pull out your strategy, and make those simple tweaks. If you're not doing anything we talked about today, then you can start from scratch. If you're doing some of it, but some of it you're not, then just sit down and come up with a solid plan to make sure that you're positioning yourself as the CEO and founder and your business in the best possible situation so that you can build community and increase your revenue. So as always, y'all, each episode, I'm going to bring myself to the boardroom and I'm going to have an honest conversation with myself. Am I doing the things that I'm telling you to do? Sometimes it'll be a yes and sometimes it'll be a no. And days like today, a little bit of both. So thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Business Talks with Jasmine J.